But, and I won't get into my Raw review here on this show. If you want my thoughts on Raw, you can check out my full written review of the show up on my website, nexterawrestling.weebly.com. Personally, I'll just give my brief thoughts here in a nutshell. I thought it was a great show. A lot of awesome build for SummerSlam. It was the most in-ring heavy show in terms of in-ring action, but I thought it was a very good show in building my excitement personally for SummerSlam, which has always been seen as one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year, as it should be. But the last few pay-per-views of SummerSlam dating back to 2011 have been great. This year's installment looks to be no different. We've got Ambrose versus Rollins, and of course not all of this is confirmed, but this is what it's going to be looking like. We've got Ambrose versus Seth Rollins, John Cena versus Brock Lesnar 2, this time for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Just confirmed, Brie Bella versus Stephanie McMahon, Chris Jericho versus Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns, Paige versus AJ for the Divas Championship, and much more. So I very much look forward to the show. It's shaping up to be a stellar event on paper, so I look forward to it. But highlights from Raw, go out of your way to watch the opening segment with John Cena, Paul Heyman, and Cesaro. Great stuff, leading into an excellent matchup. Exceeded my expectations, or probably met to over-exceeded them. But John Cena versus Cesaro, much like their Raw match from a couple of months ago back in February, I thought this was a great contest. Go out of your way to check out this matchup, and it's great to see Cesaro back on track. Hopefully, this opens the eyes of officials in that, hey, this guy shouldn't be treated as a throwaway mid-card guy. So I look forward to the rise of Cesaro, and great work from both he and Cena in this contest. Another very good matchup between Jericho and Rollins, a very refreshing contest, as I believe this was the first ever one-on-one meeting between Jericho and Rollins, so that was great stuff. Didn't have a clean finish, but that was probably for the better. You can save that for a future feud between the two down the line, maybe even later this year. I know Jericho is leaving probably right after Night of Champions, but even still, though, a great matchup between Jericho and Rollins here. What else did we have in the show last night? We had a very funny segment with Jericho and the Authority, a nice throwback to their old segments between Stephanie and Jericho from the early 2000s, and a great main event segment with Brie Bella and Stephanie. And who would think that in 2014, that one of the highlights of Raw for me personally would be something involving Stephanie and Brie Bella of all people. But I thought this was a hot segment. I know Brie Bella says bitch a lot just to get a reaction out of the people, but it works every time. I'm a puppet. I fall for it. I thought it was great, especially when Stephanie slapped Brie Bella right across the face and she went crashing to the mat down at ringside. So I thought that was great personally. It really built a lot of tension between these two, building this up as one of the marquee matches, believe it or not, for SummerSlam. So I thought that was really good. But yeah, overall, a really good episode of Raw last night. I enjoyed it. I give it a thumbs up. Like I said before, for my full thoughts on this week's episode of Monday Night Raw, you can check it out at nexterrawrestling.weebly.com for my full Raw review for July 28th, 2014.